All right, let's get into it.
The sonic booms are back, but this time it's coming out of Florida. On the night of June 13th, 2026, multiple witnesses are coming forward with claims of this bright flash of light and then this huge sonic boom that literally shook their homes and cars. I have multiple videos from different witnesses who captured this thing through their home security cameras, and the very first one captures the bright lights in detail. But the question everybody's asking, what caused this? What was this sonic boom? Take a look at these next set of videos, comment below, let us know what you think.
I'm not certain if these qualify for sonic booms. Wait, hold on that one. Well, technically they are considered sonic booms because those were clearly lightning strikes. I don't think that there was anything anomalous or abnormal about this, not to me anyways. Like here in South Carolina, we've had some pretty nasty weather, and I mean it made pretty similar sounds, but it was just thunder and lightning, which I think is what we just seen here. I could be mistaken, but I don't think it's a sonic boom from any unknown source. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one.
You ever wonder why you get forgetful or blank on someone's name after having a late night? Well, this is why, and they also know how to reverse it now. This is insane. Actually insane. So you've probably done it before. You've been out late, you pulled an all-nighter, and then the next day you blank on someone's name, or you forget something random. Well, researchers have actually discovered that sleep deprivation doesn't just make you tired, it actually disrupts a specific part of the brain that's responsible for social memory. In other words, the part of your brain that helps you recognize people. And well, when this circuit stops working properly, it becomes harder to tell familiar individuals apart from strangers, and then you blank on the name. But here's where it gets really crazy, because scientists have just found out that caffeine, yes caffeine, was actually able to switch this damaged pathway back on. So being tired, the sleep deprivation basically disconnects this area of the brain, but caffeine restored the signals and actually reversed the memory problems. What's even more surprising is this didn't even overload or overstimulate the brain, so it's not a negative thing. Instead, it actually appeared to simply target this one area of the brain, helping it recover while leaving the rest of the brain completely normal. Scientists say that this discovery could be pretty big and actually help us understand how sleep loss affects memory and more of the effects of caffeine. I will keep you updated.
Hey, whatever excuse I can give myself to drink more coffee, I'm okay with.
FBI disrupts alleged explosive drone plot targeting White House UFC event. Now, what's crazy about this is the amount of different people that made videos, posts, etc., pretty much predicting that this was going to happen. 5 people were in custody as of Monday. Investigators identified 23 people as part of a potential network of plotters. The alleged plan involved using explosive-laden drones to hit buildings near the event, force a mass evacuation, and steer crowds towards a pre-staged sniper team, officials said. A second wave was then allegedly planned to storm the White House gate, according to officials. First suspect pictured here, Tyson Proper, who was arrested in connection to the alleged plot to target the event. And according to a criminal complaint, Proper allegedly spent $3,000 of his graduation money to purchase lots of ammunition, guns, extra magazines, and other items for the alleged attack. His father told officers that Proper had quit his job to meet up with people he had met online to conduct missions and recons, according to the complaint. It said that Proper's mother had first alerted authorities over concerns about his recent alleged pew-pew purchases and communications with individuals online. 2 other suspects are pictured here, which are Brian Omar Roa and Michael Allen Thomas, and they were both arrested in California for their alleged involvement in the plot. The not pictured is Daniel K. Eskridge of Kansas City, Missouri, and Abraham Hermosillo Alvarez of Omaha, Nebraska. If you read here, documents say Eskridge's wife told investigators he described himself as a recruiter for the group and had amassed tactical gear, including a blank, and other equipment in recent months. She also said he built a large pew-pew range on his property about 3 weeks before his arrest, and that she was aware of his signal communications through messages that appeared on a shared tablet. Now, this is where it gets interesting. One suspect allegedly told investigators the goal was to target capitalist elites, billionaires, or politicians who received donations from the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. Now, I don't know about you, but to me, this seems like the perfect excuse to start further cracking down on any sort of anti-APAC speech. Let me know what you think. Or is this really just an attack that got foiled by the FBI? Or is there something deeper? Because I think there's always something deeper.
I will have to say on this one that it probably was not the best idea to set up an event like this, especially with all the past assassination attempts that we've seen. This was a very risky move. And honestly, it is a shame that that is something that we have to worry about, but it is something that should be worried about. But it also makes me wonder if something like this wasn't set in motion to start a chain of events. But overall, the whole thing was ridiculous. And luckily, nobody got injured. Crazy stuff overall. Hey, if you haven't done so already and if you're enjoying the show, give it a like. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. I upload a video like this 2 times a day, Monday through Friday, early in the morning and later in the afternoon. And for everyone that's made it this far, thank you so much for supporting the channel.
Would you spend the night in an abandoned building that has a history of being haunted, like this place does? This is the Waverly Hills Sanitarium in Louisville, Kentucky, and it's been abandoned since 1982. For good reason. The Waverly Hills Sanitarium was originally opened as a storage facility for tuberculosis patients. Later, it got changed into a sanitarium, a place where they used to put just about anybody who had any kind of mental disorder. For anything like depression, sadness, anxiety, but eventually it got closed in 1982 after years and years of complaints about patients being abused. So would you spend the night in that abandoned building? These are actual pictures inside the Waverly Hills Sanitarium, what it looks like now. And people do spend the night in there. And there have been a lot of strange and paranormal occurrences in that building and the surrounding property. This is an abandoned sanitarium where bad things happen for decades. And some people decide to try to spend the night there to see if they can have a paranormal experience of their own, maybe see a ghost, a spirit, a demon. There is no way that I would do something like that. But my question for you is, would you spend the night in an abandoned building with a history of being haunted? Let me know.
Simply put, if there was some money involved, like, hey, stay the night, and if you can make it through the whole night without running away, you win $10,000? Oh yeah, I could definitely do that. But just to stay and possibly experience something paranormal, that just doesn't really suit my time. Maybe if there was some other content creators involved where we're just filming the place and talking about it, that would be cool, but otherwise, I would not just stay there for my own entertainment.
Welcome to my series, I Want to Know. I want to know how the Grand Central Terminal in Chicago, Illinois was built from 1889 to 1890. This massive structure weighs in the ballpark of between 25,000 to 44,000 tons. This building was 228 feet long on the Harrison Street side and 482 feet long on the Wells Street side. It also had a 247 foot tall bell tower with an 11,000 pound bell in the top. Sure, that was easy to get up there. Very nice, I will take it up on my back. The self-supporting 550 foot long glass train shed was also 156 feet wide and 70 78 feet tall, and it was amongst the largest in the world at the time. It was housing 6 tracks with platforms long enough to accommodate 15 passenger cars at a time. By 1889, Chicago was one of the most technologically savvy cities in the world when it came to building, obviously just coming off of the Chicago World's Fair in 1883. So whipping up train stations like this was no problem. The tower alone required an extraordinary amount of engineering because it was built on Chicago's swampy land, including the 1893 World's Fair, which was built in swampland and held millions of pounds of buildings. The tower was designed to sit on a floating foundation with pilings that went 55 feet underground to make sure it was stable. This building used some of the heaviest materials in the world, like Connecticut brownstone, terracotta, marble, steel, and granite, the usual stuff from the 1800s. I like the granite. The waiting room alone was a beautiful palace. It had 25-foot tall marble Corinthian columns with marble from Vermont. It had marble floors, marble walls, a marble fireplace. There was gold leaf at the top of the Corinthian columns, considered by many railroad enthusiasts to be one of the most elegant train stations in America ever built. But apparently the reason why they were able to build this train station so fast is because the train lines were already in place. Grand Central Station was essentially a grand permanent terminus built at the end of an existing railroad. And something tells me that these railroads were there way longer than we're told. I think this building was here way longer than we were told. While I don't have all the answers, because I'm digging away as fast as possible, just doesn't seem plausible that they built this incredible structure in 14 months without any power tools or modern equipment. And yet it was perfect. But despite being an architectural masterpiece, it was closed on November 8th, 1969 and met its demise in 1971. They tore this down because of urban renewal. Let's make it better. But they didn't. The Baltimore and Ohio Railroad Company decided to raise this building in 1971, and they wanted to sell the perceived value of the land immediately, except it didn't sell, and it sat there for 40 years without anything happening to it. They destroyed an absolute amazing structure for nothing, unless they were doing it to hide something, or hide many things. And of course, as usual, the ledgers and names of the master masons and builders doesn't exist. There's no record of who worked on this building. But what I want to know is how many of the orphan trains stopped at this train station on their way taking kids across America to deliver to people. But as usual, I want to know. I want to know why Antarctica has been designated as a place of peace, with 56 countries that have signed agreements to not fight over that land. The military can be there even though it's a demilitarized zone. A lot of these same countries that fight with each other outside of Antarctica all agree that this is going to be a peaceful operation. My sister Amaris made an amazing point. She's like, why do we have peace there and we can't have it anywhere else? So I asked AI, I said, why is this the case? And it told me that it's incredibly expensive to access. It has no indigenous population to control or displace. Can't believe it said that. It has no existing economy or trade routes. It offers no military strategic advantage, apparently. And any resources that could be useful are way, way under the ice that need to be drilled out and pulled up. But what I want to know is why do all these countries agree to have peace in Antarctica with each other and share data and be good friends? But the minute they go back to their countries, they look at each other and they're like, if you step on my toes, it's time to go to war. Not all of them. Why do we have peace in Antarctica, but we can't get it anywhere else? And why do we, as America, promote wanting peace in other countries, but never really seek to get it? But the fact that AI said, oh, there's no indigenous people to displace or control, and while that has happened, that's still scary to hear. I don't know, but I want to know all about Antarctica. But what I really want to know is who on that list is going to jail first in America, because none of them should get off scot-free.
It would not surprise me at all if something diabolical was happening at that train station and the top shelf pieces of trash or the elites wanted it erased and that's why it got demolished. There was probably something there that they just could not get rid of without the force of demolishment. And as far as Antarctica goes, you think Jeffrey's Island was bad? I bet that there's some really sinister stuff happening with trafficking on Antarctica with these elites. And a lot of people like to argue that, oh no, the environment's just too harsh to live on. If you have unlimited money to have underground bunkers and systems to run some kind of warehouse underground, you could definitely do it. And I'm sure that between all of those nations where people are in power, they all get together there in Antarctica where everyone thinks it's untouchable and they do a lot of touchable things.
He predicted his death over 10 times, y'all. We're about to get into his music videos and his books and a whole bunch of other crazy stuff. Oliver Tree seemed to really want you to know. He literally released a graphic novel titled Oliver Tree vs. Little Ricky, and it's about him being thrown into the meat grinder of the music industry to promote his debut album, Ugly is Beautiful. Then when Oliver threatens to retire, his label replaces him with an alien. Shout out to Brian for that information. And it gets even crazier because he talked about not even making it to 2026 because he's quitting Atlantic Records. Before we continue, check this out. News update for real. It's been exactly 333 weeks since Kobe Bryant passed away. 333 weeks from another helicopter crash. Now, one of his music videos actually shows him in some sort of crash on this plane, and then right after that, he's saluting. I'm telling you, from the second I heard it, I just knew something was there. Leaves Atlantic, goes independent, releases this album cover for his album, and it's scrap metal everywhere, just like the scene. Of course, I talk about this winger, this guy from a plane in yellow right here in the last video. Before we go further, some people are like, oh, let him rest. If something happened crazy to you or your family, you would hope that someone would bat for you. Of course, we have many instances of people leaving labels and crazy things happening. And people are talking about all these different people who've, left Atlantic. Here's a little secret about the music industry. They all inadvertently own each other. It's basically one giant label.
And I'm parting ways with Atlantic Records. Behind the scenes has been nothing short of a nightmare.
And people say, oh, you're reaching. Look, none of us want anything to actually be there. I'm like the first person to call out all bogus reaching theories. That's actually why I quit making short videos for the most part. But over my last 3 videos and the YT video I put out, I've shown 10 different instances of him prophesying or knowing or having a premonition that something similar, unrelated, was going to happen. For the people that say, oh, he's just evil and satanic, these people are servants to the industry when they sign that contract. They have no say whatsoever in their album covers and their videos and any of that. So yeah, of course, there was blasphemous stuff. But when he went independent, he stopped all that blasphemous stuff instantly. Funny how that works, right? If you didn't see the first video, he made a video exposing evil stuff that happens behind the scenes. All we can do is pray that he got right with the Lord.
Life is really epic being ugly. And no matter how strange you think you look, no matter how ugly you feel, you're actually incredibly beautiful. You are actually perfect as you are.
Yeah, rest in peace for everyone that was a part of this crash. It was a pretty tragic incident that multiple lives got taken from. Thoughts and prayers go out to the families and loved ones of these individuals. Oliver Tree was definitely a unique character, that is for sure. I'm not super familiar with all of his music. Most of the music that I've listened to was actually pretty good. Very interesting style. And as far as I can tell, his message was always pretty positive. And it's quite suspicious that he just posted a week ago, basically, talking about how crappy the label that he was under was treating him for not wanting to make TikTok songs, and how he wanted to pull out from that label. And now you have this. Definitely does not put a good light above that record label. It makes them seem very suspicious. Unfortunately, this will probably get brushed under the rug as just another crash of some sort that a celebrity was a part of. But there could possibly be more to this, along with all of the other celebrity incidents that has happened. Again, rest in peace to everyone that was involved in that crash.
This rabbit hole is wild and nobody has fully figured it out yet. That's right, we're talking about the glitter conspiracy. You know, glitter, arts and crafts, makeup, birthday cards, that glitter. But did you know that 2 of the biggest glitter manufacturers in the US are both in New Jersey? And both are weirdly super secretive about how they make it and who's buying it. So back in 2018, there were reports of a national glitter shortage. So the New York Times sent an investigative reporter to one of the big 2 companies, GlitterX, to find out what was going on. When she arrived, she asked if she could tour the factory. You know, pretty common stuff when you're working on a story about something like this. But they flat out refused. They wouldn't even let her near a room where she could hear the machines, which is pretty odd. And apparently even GlitterX's buyers aren't allowed to know how they make their products. She was allowed to interview the former manager of GlitterX, but during the interview, all of her questions were basically stonewalled. The reporter asked what was their biggest industry that GlitterX serves, and the manager replied, "I absolutely can't tell you." Following up with that, she was asked if she could say who their largest customer was, to which the manager said, "Oh god, yes, and you would never guess it, just let's leave it at that." The reporter pressed further, asking why she can't divulge any of that information, and was basically told that this customer doesn't want anyone to know it's glitter, and if you looked at it, you wouldn't be able to tell. And the final question was if anyone would be able to even see glitter in the finished product of whatever it is they're using it for. And the manager said, yeah, you'd be able to see something, but yeah, I can't, and ended the interview. And that's when the internet lost its mind, because who is secretly buying massive amounts of glitter, and why don't they want us to know? Now, we know glitter is used in things like cosmetics, crafts, cars, money, credit cards, ID cards, industrial coatings, and even markers in animal feed studies. One of the popular theories is that the boat industry is buying all the glitter, where they use it in their paint. Problem is you can usually see the sparkle in the boat paint, which kind of clashes with the idea that you wouldn't know it's glitter. Glitter was first developed by this guy, Henry Rushman, in 1967, who incidentally also worked on the Manhattan Project, helping us to make the first atomic weapons. He also founded the other major glitter company in New Jersey, Meadowbrook Inventions. According to his son, glitter is used primarily for things like currency, passports, toothpaste, rocket fuel, and also by the military, who use it for chaff to disrupt radar or heat-seeking missiles, or to even simulate bad weather conditions. He even mentioned Picatinny Arsenal in New Jersey, using glitter in these alleged new types of batteries that are far more powerful than anything we're aware of. Allegedly. But recently, this theory has taken a little bit of a darker turn. Some people have started comparing glitter under a microscope to cremated human remains, ashes, and people are claiming that there's an uncanny similarity between the two. So now, people are wondering if it's somehow connected to things like funeral homes, crematoriums, or the mystery of why fewer new cemeteries are being built. Totally speculative, of course, but anyone claiming to be in the funeral industry commenting on those videos will deny it up and down, so it's probably not that.
Honestly, it would not surprise me if it was the government buying it to use it as some kind of weather modification, maybe to reflect the sun back out into space. Either that or, like he said, the military's buying it up. But the government using it for weather modification? That would not surprise me at all.
Neuroscience seems to be converging on brains without bodies from two very different sources, one of which is growing them from human stem cells into a mini brain and keeping that on life support, and the other one is extracting an adult human brain from someone who has passed and keeping that on life support. Both of these serve very similar purposes, but each one has its own advantages, and you might be asking, what about the ethics? And we'll talk about it. We know about our friends, the brain organoids, the tiny human brains grown from stem cells. They essentially resemble a fetal brain. They have the gene expression that you would expect of their chronological age. If you keep them alive for 5 years, they have the gene expression of a 5-year-old. When brain organoids first showed up on the scene, people said that they didn't have complex brainwaves. They only had delta brainwaves, which are the kind that are associated with being in a coma or asleep. But as we've seen them grow, they're getting increasingly complex. We've seen them approach criticality, which is the space between order and disorder, which is thought to be needed for intelligence and consciousness. Now, when we're talking about the brain organoids, one of the big issues is how complex they can get, because we want to have something that really looks and behaves like a human brain in order to have a reasonable research subject for human trials. The Brain X system, which works for adult human brains that were once in an adult human, operates as a life support system, essentially a synthetic body. For brain organoids, they're doing largely the same thing, except they have to grow those support structures, because as it turns out, your stem cells will become whatever you want them to be, but when they're not in the context of an entire body, they're not going to grow the correct structures. So if you just attach vascular organoids, or even a brain organoid that has vascular components, and just stick it with one that doesn't have it, they will connect, and they will support each other. Turns out there are lots of functional ways to do this, and I think the reason we have not hit human trials yet is because our brain is such an intimate part of our body, and messing it up really means messing up an awful lot, but we also haven't found the most effective way to make and use them. The concept of their suffering has been considered, and they do provide enormous scientific merit. They allow a test subject that is not an adult human being. As for whether or not they are capable of suffering, we don't know. They are a human brain in miniature. They are millimeters across. We should approach them with caution. As we make them more and more complex, and more complex brain activities emerges, yeah, I think there will be a line, but since this is entirely new technology, we haven't found the line yet. And I should say, because people are concerned, no, there is no evidence that the brain in a vat is conscious or experiencing any kind of consciousness. Yes, consciousness is poorly defined, but we have a pretty good idea of what somebody looks like when they're in a coma. This is essentially the lowest level of brain activity. Yes, the cells are technically still alive in a failing system. They also have them under heavy sedation just in case, just on the weird possibility that there was any consciousness present. They make sure that they would not suffer. And that does not bring as much comfort as maybe it should, but if it gets unethical, I will let you know. because I love to talk about that kind of stuff. I hope you've enjoyed this. Follow for more.
It'll only be a matter of time before they get this super brain that they made in a vat, and eventually people will start worshiping this brain because they'll believe in what this brain has to say, because it'll be able to talk. It's gonna be like a really weird Doctor Who episode. I can already see it now.
You still don't know the disturbing theory behind the world's most famous statue? Pay attention till the end here and you're never gonna look at it the same way again. So, do you know who this is a statue of right here? It's called the Lucifer of Liege, made in 1848, formerly titled La Genie du Mal, which translates to the Genius of Evil, and this is exactly why. Because if you try to search up the origin story of the Statue of Liberty, it gives us, well, the common history we all know of Lady Liberty in NYC. So I head over to Emergent to build us something that can help us explore these hidden theories of the world history doesn't talk about. Build me an interactive 3D map of the world that allows us to explore the alternative theories of famous sites and monuments for entertainment purposes only. My lawyer told me to add that part. And 1, 2, 3, just like that, it created Archivum Terra, a map featuring those uncommon theories of the world that we all love. Okay, let's zoom right into New York City so we can find, there it is, the Statue of Liberty. Let's see where this rabbit hole takes us. Because this is a statue of Lucifer, a fallen angel from heaven, commonly depicted as the devil who rebelled against God and was banished to earth. And this statue in particular, the Lucifer of Liege, has some unmistakable details that feel very intentional. So the crown that Lucifer is holding here is one with 7 points, allegedly symbolizing the 7 deadly sins of man, which just so happens to be the exact number of points found on the crown of this Statue of Liberty. Coincidence? Maybe, but oh, we've barely even grazed the tip here. Because you might notice the Lucifer statue is also chained by the ankle, a symbol of his eternal imprisonment in the earthly realm. Surely the Statue of Liberty, representing, you know, freedom and liberty, has no reason at all to be imprisoned too now, right? Apparently no, because that is exactly what we find at the foot of Lady Liberty. A chain holding her down on the pedestal she stands. Liberty, definition, the condition of being free from confinement, servitude, or forced labor. So it totally makes sense to have a lady representing liberation to be chained by the ankle like some sort of prisoner. Don't question it now. And is this even Lady Liberty? Just have a closer look at her face and tell me if you see it too. I don't know about you, but the features aren't exactly all that feminine. Here it is while it was still under construction, and here's the face of another statue of an actual lady for comparison. Do you see a difference here? Because now this is a famous painting of Lucifer, or Satan, from 1797, and well, here's the viral side-by-side comparison of it with Our Lady Liberty, and the resemblance is uncanny. Never mind a man, she straight up looks like the devil himself, who at the base of the marble Lucifer of Liege seems to have dropped a scepter, a torch, as Lucifer, the name, translates from Latin to the bringer of light. The bringer of light. Do I really need to explain that one? Even more, beside the scepter in the statue, there's an apple, almost seemingly at random, just sitting there with no context. And what is it they call New York City, the host of the Statue of Liberty? The big what now? But hey, you know, we're probably just reading into things too much as per usual. With Lucifer also alternatively translating to morning star, a star being the shape that the Statue of Liberty happens to rest on. All very interesting and mildly disturbing connections and coincidences to a figure that is commonly portrayed as the devil. Or maybe, you know, we're just being silly. Entertainment purposes only, right? That was quite the brain tickler, now wasn't it?
I will have to say, the French sculptor of the Statue of Liberty had to have some kind of inspiration off of Lucifer, because there's way too many other older material of Lucifer that the Statue of Liberty just looks too much alike. There had to be some kind of inspiration being had there. I will also have to say, though, that the chains do not look like they're chained down on the Statue of Liberty. It looks like the chain is busted. So I really do not think it's chains holding her down. But let me know what you guys think of the Statue of Liberty. Do you think that it's actually what people say it is? Or do you think that there's a more sinister satanic message behind it?
I feel happy. I feel healthy. I'm a human being.
Same here, man. Same here. Alright guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end today's video. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching these clips with me. If today's your birthday, happy birthday, and if not, have a good day anyways.